DOGE. Mercedes Schlapp is here, former White House strategic senior advisor. So is David Carlucci, a Democratic strategist. Thank you both for being on. Mercedes, I'll start with you. And you see these, again, these leftists protesting Tesla showing up at the dealerships, showing up at charging stations now, protesting all in the name of Elon Musk and helping out with cutting wasteful government spending.
Right. Well, look, I got to tell you, this is the left regrouping, right? We've seen this before with Occupy Wall Street. Now it's Occupy Wall Street or Occupy Tesla 1.0. You know, I got to tell you, I got an anonymous envelope this past weekend sent to my house with a picture of Luigi Mangiano, the one who killed the United Healthcare CEO, where it basically said, burn the patriarchy. It said, no more peaceful revolution. We need a violent revolution. This is when you start seeing elements of the left really, I think, taking things too far, making places like the Tesla headquarters or some of these offices a place for that employees don't feel safe. And I think this is very problematic if the left is going to go down this path of pursuing kind of this disruptive protest, which in essence, I think, these are private businesses. Go outside and protest in front of the White House. That's one thing. I just think taking this to these Tesla headquarters or offices, it just goes too far.
Well, and obviously it's illegal to destroy people's properties here. We've got some video. David, Cybertrucks are pretty recognizable, right? So you do kind of automatically link it to Elon Musk. But is this really the resistance Democrats want to present at this hour?
No, absolutely not. I think what you see is just people are frustrated, angry with Donald Trump, but particularly Elon Musk. But destruction of property is never acceptable. And that's why we should all team up and condemn any type of violence. And that's why it was particularly upsetting with the blanket pardon of protesters on January 6th. And that speaks to the issue here. Elon Musk is obviously a talented person. There's no question about that. However, the mistakes that we've seen on this slash first, ask question second, have just caused irrevocable harm, and consumer confidence is starting to decline, as well as we see the job approval. Particularly, of course, we know the left is upset, but now we see more independents and even Republicans starting to question the tactics here. And if we're cutting out waste and abuse, everybody agrees with that. The problem is they can't pinpoint that. And we see example after example where they fire first, then they have to rehire. And the term of effectiveness has to be brought into question. So all of these issues, I think, are just boiling over to not just Democrats, to regular people in saying, what's going on here? Is there an actual strategy? And it's really hard to get behind that, particularly when you have issues all over the place. I mean, there's too many to list in this segment now. Yeah. But particularly things like the measles. Well, we have a second death of someone in New Mexico, and you have the Secretary of Health and Human Services saying that this is something that's normal. It's not. Yes, we have outbreaks, but that has increased dramatically over the past few years. I'm going to jump in
really quick, David. We've got to give Mercedes time as well. But again, all that can be fact-checked on the CDC. Mercedes, did you want to respond?
Well, look, I think that when you want to talk about a bad pardon, that would be pardoning the Hunter Biden and the Biden family. Let's be real there. But look, I think that, David brings up a good point, which is how the process is being put into place. There's no question. And I have to argue, I don't understand why the Democrats and I would say Republicans really didn't spend more time trying to figure out what was happening in these agencies. When you look at the fact that USAID was spending millions of dollars, for example, in sex change operations in the country of Guatemala, and you go down that list, let me tell you, majority of taxpayers, they agree. Cut it, take it out of the budget. There was too much fraud, too much abuse, too much mismanagement. And the mere fact is that you had only 6% of these federal buildings were people were being occupied, basically, because the federal workers weren't going back to work in many cases. Now, there are some very good, talented federal workers, but there was a lot of these federal workers that were basically taking advantage of the system. And look, it's hard. In corporations, you have layoffs. And guess what? In the federal government, just like Bill Clinton did back in the day, they laid off federal workers. So, yes, we need to basically reduce this bloated government. We need to make sure that the government is responding and working for the people and not the other way around. And you've got to cut this wasteful spending. And that's exactly what Elon Musk has done.
The problem.
It's exactly what's happening.
No,
it's absolutely what's happening.
Just to make arbitrary cuts.
The majority of the people, it's not arbitrary cuts. No, it is not the case. It's weakening our government. It is literally, they are going line by line, figuring out where they can cut the waste. It's what they've done in these agencies.
If we're going under the logic that you put forward.
Unfortunately,
let me interject.
You look at the list. You look at the list. The list is out on DOGE every day.
To just name a headline does not mean you understand what that program actually does.
All right.
And that's what's not fair.
We're going to move on. David, let me move on from this, please.
And then it's fraud. It's not fair.
Tim Walz, speaking of Democrats not wanting to make changes, Tim Walz is weighing in now, speaking to Politico, saying this. We shouldn't have been playing this so safe. He had said, I think we probably should have just rolled the dice and done the town halls. I think there could have been more of that. And then he was also asked whether or not he would consider running for president. Here's that.
I guess what I'm asking you is, would you run for president?
Well, I had a friend tell me never turn down a job you haven't been offered. If I think I could offer something, or if there's a piece there that would do it, I would certainly consider that.
Okay, David, we'll give you the floor, but please keep your answers brief so we can get through a lot. There's so much news. Is Tim Walz going to be the candidate for 28 for Democrats?
Oh, I don't think anybody can predict that. I think there'll be a numerous amount of candidates, and particularly coming up on the midterms, we have about a year and a half to go for that. I think the field is wide open, and I think you're going to see a lot of diverse voices percolate up. And I'm excited to see who can really articulate the best ideas moving forward. It's going to be very interesting considering 2028 that we're going to have Donald Trump term limited out. And I think that's going to be more of the question in terms of where does the Republican Party go? The Democratic Party has got a diverse a group of ideas. Whereas the Republican Party, it's hard to pin down because Donald Trump has flip-flopped on so many issues. It's hard to really see what the policy is other than just fleeting thoughts and ideas that come from Donald Trump's mouth.
David, I don't know where you're going with that. It's very clear. Even Senator Slotkin said that there was an issue with the Democrat Party and identity and so many others.
I'm not concerned about the Democratic Party. I'm really not. What I'm really concerned about is the Republicans in leadership right now have no backbone and no ability when they disagree to stand up to Donald Trump.
All right,
we could just take the CHIPS Act, for example.
Let Mercedes answer to that.
Republicans who voted for it that went up and standed and clapped when Donald Trump called it wasteful. And you had 24 Republicans that supported that. Okay. And we have billions of dollars in investment, but yet Donald Trump wants to axe
Republicans have the House, Senate, and White House. Mercedes, go ahead.
Well, as we know, Donald Trump has brought over $1.7 trillion in investment into America, where you're seeing more of money coming back in to invest in the American workers and bring back manufacturing plants, as you are well aware. And look,
unfortunately, it can be validated.
Is very clear. President Trump's message is very clear. It's that of America first. It is about fortifying American families, American workers, making our borders safe, something that Joe Biden and the Democrats have failed to do time and time again, allowing criminal aliens to come into this country and basically murder young, innocent women and girls in this country that should have never happened under the watch of Joe Biden. Right. So I'll just tell you, it's very clear where the Republicans are going. I'll take that Democratic.
I don't think you could say that. Very clear where the Republicans are going.
If Tim Walz wants to run, go for it. I think that would be
sure. We're going to have a long list of people running.
I'm not seeing much reflection on the results of the election here from David. We have to look at there.
Republican candidate? I mean,
very clear. J.D. Vance has shown to be a very strong leader thus far.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a great presidential candidate 2028.
All right, we'll leave it there. Mercedes Schlapp, David Carlucci. Interesting discussion on this Monday morning. Appreciate it.
I know. It's daylight
savings time. Great to be with you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cue the music. All right. President Trump's tariff policy has left a lot of uncertainty for stock market investors. After the break, former